Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn here today. My name is Emily Lebu. I am with Family and Community Engagement from Special School District. We will be having Jessie Hotley from Pathways to Independence today. We welcome you. And here at FACE, we do have a mission statement to partner with students, families, and staff to support students' specialized academic, social, and emotional needs, to promote self-determination, equitable opportunities, and authentic inclusion. If you'd like more information about our department, please visit our website at www.ssdmo.org/FACE. This webinar is being recorded. It is also being monitored live on YouTube. If you would like to use the comment section in Zoom to ask questions, and you can receive some immediate responses. Webinars cannot guarantee confidential environment, so please do not share any identifiable or specific information about your family or your student. If you require any kind of additional assistance, please chat with me. We can make sure that happens. Closed captioning has been activated, and a recording of this webinar will be available. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jessie Hotley, the Program Director for Pathways to Independence. Jessie, take it from here.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Jessie Hotley. I'm the Program Director at Pathways to Independence. I oversee all of our programs and services at Pathways, but today I'm here to talk about our young adult program. Pathways to Independence has been around since 1987, and we have historically been an adult program. However, we were starting to notice a trend in young adults coming to us, maybe in their early 20s, looking to join and reporting that they had lost touch with friends from high school. Families were reporting that there had been a drop in skills, and that was really a big motivator for us in adding some age-specific programming. So in October of 2020, we launched our young adult program, and I'm here to tell you a little bit more about it today. Our young adult program supports individuals who are 16 to 21 years old. So the goal is to capture them when they're still in high school and kind of provide that transition out and into the world of adult services, or give them a space where they're making connections outside of school for a few years before that transition occurs. Our participants have a documented disability, typically. A lot of times that's an autism diagnosis, a learning disability. The disability itself is not as important as kind of a fit for our program, which I'll talk a little bit about. Pathways participants are comfortable and successful in about a 1 staff to 10 participant ratio in the community. So our individuals don't need a lot of one-on-one support. It's there for things like paying or something that someone might need in the moment, but the expectation is that individuals will be able to be independent without that direct support the rest of the time. Pathways participants need to have a motivation to meet others and work on their skills. They need to be conversational with their same age peers, be able to hold at least a basic conversation with peers, respect peer boundaries, and have a similar maturity to other peers of the same age. So Pathways is really targeting a pretty independent group, oftentimes those kind of quirky kids that are doing okay, but could really use some support in making peer relationships and working on some of those social skills that will help them be a little more successful. One of the goals of the young adult program is to allow participants a consistent place to meet peers during that transition year that can have a lot of change. We want to teach our participants the skills to make and maintain friendships that they've made in school and to build on friendships once they get out of school. We also understand that only so much can be taught in a school day, and that there are a lot of steps in making and keeping friends. So while someone might sit with peers at lunch during the school day, there's a lot more steps that go into, say, exchanging phone numbers or making plans outside of school that might come naturally to some of us, but are not taught necessarily. So here's an example of our current monthly calendar that gets sent out to our participants. Our program focuses on a more recreational model with a skill component built in. So you can see a few different things on here, and I'll talk more in depth about these events in the coming slides. I'd like to keep in mind that there's different geographic locations, there's different interests that we try to appeal to. Often they're recommended by our participants to make sure that the things that we're offering really are of interest to them. Also, as our program grows, we'll increase the number of activities offered month to month. When our young adult program began, we only had 4 activities a month, and this is kind of what our current calendar is looking like. So we scale up based on our group size. As I mentioned previously, our goal is to kind of fill in the gaps of some of those missing pieces in the school setting. And then lastly, where you see a van icon on our calendar, we do provide transportation to and from our Pathways office, which is located in Creve Coeur. And then participants have the option to meet at any of our events as well. There's those 2 options for a lot of our events. So the first thing I'll highlight are the social events that are on our calendars. So each month, our social calendar gets mailed out with a variety of different activities. One of these types of events is called social events. So these events would happen on different days of the week at various times. We try to host one day trip a month on a day that public schools are closed. And here's kind of an example of one of those. We focus on social connections. We give our participants the opportunity to work on their social skills through these fun activities. As adults and young adults, most of us learn through doing, and that's kind of the Pathways model. We also want to increase community-based independence. For a lot of our young adults, they haven't really been out in the community much without family members, or they have a bit, but they could really benefit from increasing those skills. Our events are offered various days and times. We know that people have activities, they have after school, they have family commitments. So we try to offer things that can appeal to anyone's schedule. And then I spoke a little bit to transportation already. The photo you see here are some of our participants supporting a fellow participant at his play performance this last year. So at our events, they're not just a social activity. We provide quite a bit of social coaching at those events. So everyone that registers and is a part of our program is working towards some individual goals. Those might be executive functioning type goals like self-registering through text message or email, helping them to kind of figure out how much money to bring, those planning skills that become really important. Most people are working on social skills that might include getting some indirect or direct verbal coaching, helping people bring up topics of interest and connecting with one another, reminding them to interact with peers more than staff, which can be a challenge. Some people are working on functional skills that might be tipping when we go out to a restaurant, using a tipping calculator, following a recipe, participating in a cooking class. And then there are some self-advocacy skills people can work on. So making some intentional group decision-making, sharing their opinion, even if it's different from the groups or another peers, speaking up for their needs. And then some independent living skills. So we always offer some cooking classes, for example, to help build some of those skills that individuals will need as they get a little bit older. So in addition to the social activities that are listed on the calendar, we also have events that are called social college. So there are typically about 4 to 5 of these events offered monthly. They focus on specific social skill topics, and within the event, the group talks about how those skills could be relevant in different settings. So the topics might be reducing interruptions, the differences between friends and acquaintances, boundaries in friendships or romantic relationships, talking about non-preferred topics. It could be really anything that we've identified that the group could benefit from, but it's still fun. So the group gets together, it's social. We try to work in a lot of very active events. So there was a problem-solving social college class that used team building activities. So the group was up and moving around the whole time, having fun, laughing, but then also breaking down what did we learn from this? How did we work together to problem solve? And kind of using these sessions to still be building connections, but also be building skills. With this, at least currently, we also have a partnership with the SHADE program, the Sexual Health and Disability Education Program, who comes in once a month and offers a session on dating and relationships. So participants are able to choose some of these events. We really don't want it to feel like a school class, but it is an opportunity for them to deepen some of these skills. So what does a typical event look like? Our program has the feel of a recreational program, but it has that underlying purpose of building social skills. The different type of activities are often recommended by participants and families, and they usually have about 4 to 9 participants and 1 or 2 staff at each event. I had mentioned earlier that we look for about a 1 to 10 support ratio comfort level, but typically our support ratio is actually a bit higher because we're focused on social skills. We want to be able to provide that coaching as we go along during the event. At our events, our staff are there to make sure things go smoothly, and then we're there to provide that coaching towards their individual goals. So if someone is working on avoiding interruptions or they're working on speaking up for themselves, our staff understands what their goals are and are able to provide that verbal, nonverbal prompting or coaching to help them work towards that. The majority of what we do is out in the community. We have a lot of fun, but we also remind our participants, especially when they sign up for our program, that everybody is working towards some goals. So cost, our program does have a membership cost. We get some partial funding from the local SB 40 boards. Those are county funders. But in addition to that, families are responsible for a membership fee. So that breaks down to, as you can see on here, for St. Louis County families, about $55 per month. However, we do have scholarships available, and we really encourage families to apply for that if they need it. We never want the fees to be a deterrent from someone participating in our program. Our participants also pay for any additional costs of activities. So if we're going bowling, if we're going out to dinner, the participant would be responsible for that cost. And it's also a really good way for them to practice cash handling or card handling in the community, kind of managing their own money in a community setting. So the cost for our program covers 24 social events a year, about 2 a month, 24 social colleges, which is again about 2 a month, and 3 small groups, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And Emily, I'm going to have you skip this slide for me. All right, so small groups, which I just mentioned, are where a participant has the opportunity to plan something of their own. So this goes beyond the calendar that we put out and really pushes people to start becoming a little more independent in their socialization. So they're able to work with our staff on the process from start to finish. They plan and choose what the event will be. They find all of the pertinent information. They determine the details, transportation, cost with our help. And then they're in charge of inviting peers, communicating that information, giving reminders as needed, and then being the host at that small group event. Our staff is still there. We provide the support just like we would on a calendar social event, but the individual who planned it plays a bit of a role in hosting. And it's a really nice way for our participants to start to deepen some of those relationships that they're making at our larger social events. So last year, just a little bit about success and outcomes from us. 100% of our participants and family members last year were satisfied with our program. They all reported that Pathways made them feel more comfortable or more confident with themselves, which is a big part of, especially that first year in our program, building that social confidence. 94% of our participants could identify at least one new skill that they've learned due to participating in Pathways. And 88% of them felt like they had made a new connection or a new friendship just in that past year with the Pathways group. So we really feel like our participants, especially who are motivated and really highly engaged with our program, are finding great success where they might not have found it otherwise. A lot of people in both our young adult and adult program come to Pathways saying that they haven't found a place where they feel like they belong. A lot of other services in St. Louis that are fantastic may not speak specifically to their needs or their independence level. And oftentimes when they come to Pathways, they find a place where they feel a little bit better of a fit, people that they're connecting with, they feel like they belong here. And that's where we see these outcomes come through. So lastly, I'll talk about our process for those that would be interested in reaching out or becoming a part of our program. The first step would be an inquiry. So we have families reach out and submit an application for their individual just to make sure that it is falling in line with our eligibility criteria and we get a little more information. The next step is setting up an initial meeting with our young adult program manager. And that is an opportunity for the young adult and family to learn a little bit more about the program, ask any questions they might have, and for our staff to get to know that individual a little bit to make sure it seems like the right fit. After that point, we offer a trial period. This is typically about a month, where an applicant can come try a few things, try 2 or 3 events with our program to see how it feels. I know there's a lot of anxiety for everyone in trying something new. So rather than asking someone to make a commitment to our program before they've experienced it, we feel that the trial period gives people a really nice chance to make sure it feels like the right fit and show that they have that motivation to follow through. If everyone is on the same page after that trial period, there would be an intake meeting where we would get to know you just a little bit more, set some goals for the program, and really get things kicked off. And then after that point, the individual would become a program participant with Pathways. So that's our process. It's a longer process than maybe some programs, but we really feel that it ensures that people are really finding their proper fit within Pathways to make sure that it's going to be a successful experience for everybody. So this is our final slide. I'm happy to answer questions. So again, I'm the program director at Pathways. We also have a young adult program manager who really works with new families coming in. She's on our screen. That was Alyssa Renaud. She has just moved on from Pathways, and one of our other staff has moved into the role of young adult program manager. Her name is Kate. But for the time being, I am happy to answer any questions that come our way through email or phone, or if anyone has them in the chat, I'm also happy to answer some questions for you. Okay, I see a question. How long do most participants stay in the program? That's a great question. Now, our young adult program is relatively new. Again, it started in 2020. So for us, as someone ages out of the young adult program, so hits that 22, 23 years old, we have a process to help them transition into our adult program if they would like to do that. It's a slow transition to make sure that it's successful. And then within our historical adult population, there's really a range. There are some people who come in and they spend a year or 2 with us and say, okay, I got what I need. I'm ready to kind of move on to something else. There are other participants that have been with us since 1987 when our program launched in our adult program. And for them, Pathways has become their community. So they may have found a lot of independence. They may have a social group outside of Pathways, but they really found that this is a place for them that they would like to continue long term. So it could be really any range. There's no graduation date from Pathways, but we also are comfortable with people kind of moving on to the next step for themselves. Is there a wait list? Great question. Currently, for our young adult program, there is not a wait list. Our adult program has a wait list for St. Louis County residents, but our young adults do not. At a certain point, if our growth gets to a certain point where we can't manage it at the moment, we might have to create a wait list, but right now we have openings.
Well, Jessie, that was super informative. I loved hearing about it and learning about your program. Thank you very much for being here today. If there are any other questions, please let us know, or if you're watching this as a recording, please feel free to reach out. You can email Jessie there, call Pathways, or you are always welcome to reach out to FACE. We appreciate it. Here at FACE, we do offer several other lunch and learns this year. We still have Starkloff coming next month. We've got the Pause program. And several other things happening for our lunch and learns. We also still have our hub huddles occurring at our hub in North Tech. We have a really exciting event coming up next weekend called Family Academy. We would encourage everyone to participate in that. It's on Saturday, November 4th from 9 to noon. We'll have different interactive classes, community vendors. And it's just going to be a really fun family day of learning. And new this year, we have started having virtual open houses. So if you are new to Special School District, we welcome you to come to one of our virtual open houses to learn more about our district and how we can partner with you to drive student success. Our next open house is on November 21st at 9:30 a.m. We are also offering our family cafes still this year, backed by popular demand. Our last cafe of this semester will be on November 16th. We'd love to see you. And we just appreciate you guys for coming to this webinar. Jesse, we appreciate you for being here as well. Like I said, if you have any more questions, please feel free to visit our webpage, email us, call us. We want to be able to connect families with whatever resources they need. And I know that Jesse would love to hear from you as well. If you are on this webinar live or seeing it, if you wouldn't mind using the QR code here to provide us some feedback, we would really appreciate it. It is how we enhance our programming going forward. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Jesse, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here today and giving us all that wonderful information.
Thanks for having me so much. And feel free to reach out to me, or you can visit our website to submit an inquiry form as well, whatever you would like.
Fantastic. Thank you.